But now we turn our attention tonight to what we're calling, what is the big liberal, extremist, socialist, Democratic Party lies and falsehoods? This is the short list tonight. Now, first, there is a completely false perception. Democrats, they actually value freedom. Nothing could be further from the truth. Now, while the classic definition of liberalism is the willingness to respect new ideas and the perception they support freedom of speech, they're pro-choice, freedom of expression, well, today's radical Democratic Party is anything but. It's filled with leftists and statists. They don't want any freedom of speech and expression, who want to completely silence, cancel all opposition voices, stifle speech that they disagree with, and furthermore, cancel anyone that dares offend them. Now, naturally, they applaud the efforts of big tech to censor conservatives. Not one prominent Democrat has spoken out against this practice, not one. Because Democrats, leftists, statists, they're also leading the calls, and they have for years, against a few of us here on the Fox News channel. They would like us all canceled and boycotted and shut down. Or on radio, conservative talk radio. Me, Rush Limbaugh, the great one, Mark Levin, and others need to be ripped off the airways. And that's not all. The Biden administration is already looking for ways to prevent any tough questions from the White House press corps. I'm not making this up. You have the deputy press secretary telling Politico, we expect reporters covering the White House to operate in good faith. And organizations or individuals who traffic in conspiracy theories, you mean like CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, and MSDNC, propaganda, all of them, New York Times, Washington Post. But those that lie and spread disinformation will not be tolerated. Wow, they'll all be thrown out tomorrow. And we will work with the White House Correspondent Association to decide how to handle those instances moving forward. And who makes all of these decisions? That would be the same people that are perfectly okay with not reporting the Hunter Biden laptop story in the New York Post, you know, the one that was true. In other words, if you report something they don't like or you don't buy into their lies, their hoaxes, their conspiracy theories, they'll just cancel you, silence you, shut you down, and apparently kick you out. And they'll work with their allies in the media mob and their allies in big tech to now walk you out of the White House and completely cancel you. In the Democrats' perfect utopia, there's no difference, there are no disagreements, no alternative opinions whatsoever. Their twisted, psychotic view of the world, they believe they hold the monopoly on truth. And as we have long discussed on this program, they also believe, and they will tell you, that they have a monopoly on compassion for working men and women in this country, which brings us to yet another big, radical, leftist, statist, Democratic lie. That is a lie. This is definitely not the party that has a monopoly on compassion, that's looking out for hard-working men and women in this country. Oh, the person that said set record low unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workplace, youth unemployment, African American youth unemployment. Those records were shattered by, yes, as Acosta says, that would be President Trump in exile. In order to appease his radical socialist base, in 1 week in office, the weak, the frail Joe Biden has now been putting tens of thousands of our fellow hardworking Americans, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens out of work. Their work has been canceled, all in the name of this radical new Green Deal, climate change, socialist redistribution model that they now endorse. Keep in mind, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and because of a lot of Democratic governors and mayors, we've had draconian shutdown measures, and the unemployment rate and the jobs that are failing, well, extremely high. We have millions of Americans out of work through no fault of their own, and Joe, adding to misery, is now basically announced, well, we're going to have competition for the jobs that are available by giving amnesty to 11 million illegal immigrants eventually. But with the stroke of a pen, twice this week, Joe Biden has decided, number one, to stop construction on the border wall, cancel the Keystone XL pipeline, causing, yes, thousands more to be laid off. They already got their pink slips. We've interviewed them. and further restrictions on American fracking natural gas will impact hundreds of thousands of American jobs. Keep in mind, these are high-paying career jobs with great benefits. Most of them are union jobs. They fit a very specific skill set, and these workers now have been laid off. A lot of them making six figures. They are jobless. But according to cold-hearted Joe Biden, his climate plan is about jobs. They don't have them because of you. It's not like you said, okay, we're going to take this job and give you this job. That never occurred. They just lost their current job with no hope or reality of getting a job that's going to pay them $100 grand a year. Take a look.
Today is Climate Day at the White House, and which means that today is Jobs Day at the White House. When I think of climate change, I think of, and the answers to it, I think of jobs. A key plank of our Build Back Better recovery plan is building a modern, resilient climate infrastructure and clean energy future that will create millions of good-paying union jobs, not $7, $8, $10, $12 an hour, but prevailing wage and benefits.
The guys in the energy sector now getting paid on average $100 grand a year. You just laid them off, Joe. You going to pay their mortgage? You going to pay their rent? You just destroyed their careers, their dreams, their livelihoods with promises millions of jobs are going to be created. Good jobs. Well, how are they going to put food on the table next week, pay the mortgage rent next week, or pay their truck or car payment next week? Your unemployment insurance, Joe's not going to cut it. And the competition right now for jobs never been greater. And because of amnesty and because of draconian shutdowns, it's going to drive down wages. You're taking away jobs. Now you're promising big government. What, for Solyndra? The cold-hearted comments of Biden's cabinet are equally insane. You got Biden's special climate envoy, John Kerry. These Americans need to find work elsewhere. Easy for him to say. He's a multi-millionaire with his own private jet. Like, you know, the imaginary windmills, solar panel factories. I don't remember of ever speaking out against the Kennedys off Cape Cod or Nantucket when they're going to build windmills there, but it would have obstructed the Kennedy view. He never criticized that. And many of these workers, as I said, had six-figure salaries. Hey, John Kerry, where do they go for work on Monday? Can they borrow their jet to go interview? Take a look.
The President of the United States has expressed in every comment he has made about climate the need to grow the new jobs that pay better, that are cleaner. What President Biden wants to do is make sure those folks have better choices, that they have alternatives, that they can be the people who go to work to make the solar panels. They were making them here at home. That is going to be a particular focus of the Build Back Better agenda.
Next week, they got no job to go to, John. I know you're married into a lot of money. I know you fly around the world on your private jet, leaving your big, fat carbon footprint pretty much everywhere you go. By the way, John Kerry, maybe you need to scrap heap your private jet. I think it's time to sell the plane, because that makes you a lying hypocrite. And John Kerry to stand there with a straight face and callously as climate envoy and argue that Americans that now will not be working next week, they should lose their jobs because of his radical global warming, new Green Deal socialist agenda, as he uses his private jet, as a lot of these cabinet members of Joe Biden, are they going to give up the government jets that you pay for, the American taxpayer? They've got fleets of them. Are they going to agree to give them up? I doubt it. Kerry isn't the only Biden official with a cavalier attitude either. By the way, all against working Americans. They're now devastated by, yes, the pink slips that they got and no job to go to. High-paying career jobs in the energy industry. They don't have a job on Monday. Where are they going to go Monday? Who's going to put food on the table? Who's going to pay their rent, their mortgage? Anyway, take a look at other callousness.
So for those workers, the answer is somebody else will get a job?
The answer is that we are very eager to see those workers continue to be employed in good-paying union jobs, even if they might be different ones.
You just took their job and you didn't give them another job, Pete. Now, the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, doesn't exactly have the wealth of experience or knowledge. And, Pete, you just got a new job. They had good-paying union jobs. You put the insane socialist Green New Deal ahead of every one of these hard-working, great American workers and their families. And Pete's colleague, Jennifer Granholm, well, she at least was a little bit more honest by saying and stating that, of course, yeah, jobs are going to be sacrificed for the Democrats' radical green agenda. All in, comrades. Take a look.
I'm just curious how a long-term ban consistent with the president's goal of unifying our country and putting Americans back to work and helping our economies grow, how is that all consistent?
I think the president's plan of building back better, which would create more jobs in energy, clean energy, than the jobs that might be sacrificed. But I will say this, no job, we don't want to see any jobs sacrificed.
How does a welder and a pipe fitter and a rig worker, tell me, how does those skills, very specific, learned over decades in some cases, how do they translate to windmills? You got to help me out here. And perhaps she's more honest, but just as dumb in supporting this dumb madness and adding insult to injury, those who were forced to sacrifice their careers, guess what? You're also going to be facing higher taxes as well as higher energy costs. And these Biden geniuses now, oh, on top of the predictable rise in heating rates for your home and gas at the gas pump, they're eyeing a brand new gas tax. Biden's pick for Commerce Secretary even announced tax hikes on the middle class. Yeah, probably going to be necessary to pay for Joe's new Green Deal socialism agenda. Windmills, solar panels, hate to tell you, it's not cheap. You might remember Solyndra. Now, did Joe promise higher taxes on you, the American people, middle class, the people that truly make this country great every day, when he was hiding in his basement bunker during the campaign in the candidate campaign protection program of the media mob and the big tech mob? I don't recall promising to raise taxes on the middle class. Matter of fact, if memory serves me well, it was quite the opposite. Let's see if the videotape proves me right.
This is about everybody paying their fair share.
So no new taxes, $400,000 and down.
No new taxes. There would be no need for any.
And will you be raising taxes on small businesses that are You're talking about.
Look, you have 90% of the businesses out there are mom and pop businesses that are out there that employ less than 50 people. There'll be no raising taxes then.
Nobody making under $400,000 would have their taxes raised, period. Bingo. Let's get people back to work.
Okay, you just took away their jobs, and Jennifer Granholm, your appointee, said you're going to raise taxes on the middle class. But I guess you consider anyone that has a job still middle class. What Joe Biden did then was lie directly to your face. I thought the media mob didn't like lying from politicians. By the way, we told you so. We predicted all of this. By the way, none of this will improve the climate. The world will still consume oil and gas, but now less of it will be sourced from America. Instead, all the oil and gas, the lifeblood of the world's economy, they're going to have to ship it on boats and trains and trucks. Let's see, we'll be importing energy again from the Middle East, countries that hate our guts. China, a hostile regime. Russia, hostile regime, hostile actor. Putin, President Xi, the Iranian mullahs, other countries, Venezuela. Wow, no EPA in these countries. WHO, by the way, and similarly, the Paris Climate Accords, they don't charge China the same as they charge us. China is considered a developing nation. We're the only suckers that pay the real freight. I guess we're going to make all those hostile regimes against us rich again. We'll make them great again. And America, once again, will be dependent on foreign energy, which compromises our national security. Not a good idea. Pollution will likely get worse. We will pay more in prices on the way. And to sum up, we're going to pay more at the pump, pay more to heat our homes. We'll pay more in taxes. And our enemy and hostile regimes around us will all get rich, and they'll be prospering. They're doing backflips tonight. Tens of thousands of Americans are losing high-paying career jobs. Russia, China, Iran, other Middle Eastern countries doing backflips and going giddy tonight. Here's my prediction. Mark my words. This will not end well. On top of this, Biden has a plan to keep Democrats in power in perpetuity. Oh, I warned you about this, too. It's happening, and that includes, by the way, a bill that would grant statehood to Washington, D.C., therefore ensuring ensuring two Democratic senators from D.C. Maybe Puerto Rican statehood. Puerto Rico statehood is next. And we'll have two more Democratic senators in perpetuity. Now, Biden is now staffing a commission to analyze Supreme Court reform. Okay, I was right again. Let me translate that for you. You're talking about court packing. They want to figure out a way to control the U.S. Supreme Court and overthrow a branch of government. In other words, an unprecedented, dangerous power grab. And in other news, these same radical Democrats are falsely accusing President Trump of inciting an insurrection. And the sham unconstitutional impeachment trial begins in a few short days. We already know the outcome. President Trump will be acquitted. So they will now officially be wasting your money and your time. And enough. We get it. You hate President Trump. It's actually amazing, isn't it, when you think about it? Donald Trump has this unique ability to live in these people's minds every second, minute, hour of every day. And he lives there for years, and he's not in office, and he still lives there. And now today, some in D.C., oh, they're figuring out that they lost in terms of a conviction. We'll get him this way. We'll do censure of the president. Now, Republicans, will you for once get a backbone? Will you for once not buckle, not capitulate, not give in? Will you say, he's not in office? Enough. Stop wasting our time and our money. And if they're going to do that censure, then do it to Chuck, and do it to Joe, and do it to Kamala, and do it to Maxine Waters. I'm going to take Trump out tonight. And then you can do it to everybody else that has said insightful insurrection-like language. Stop legitimizing, you Republicans, you weak ones, this psychotic rage. Focus on your job. We're in the middle of a pandemic. There are millions of Americans out of work. Democrats, once again, proving my point. They don't have compassion. There's no awareness. There's no empathy. And sadly, hardworking Americans, as we unfortunately predicted rightly, are now paying the price. Jobs are lost. But there's promises of jobs here, there, and everywhere. Well, they're non-existent at this moment.